And we are back here for another week of football on the City of Riverside, Riverside TV. We had a great week this past week, and I'll tell you what, we missed this one guy more than anybody in the world, the great Ghazal Hassan. Ghazal, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine. You guys didn't need me. I mean, you had two big games, both won by Riverside teams. Ramona with the blowout, Novi with the blowout. It's like a River Valley League party on Riverside TV on Friday night, Jeff.
Well, I'll tell you what, we did miss you, Ghazal. I have always missed sitting next to you and giggling several times during the game. But you were working this weekend. You were at the empty Rose Bowl as UCLA took care of business. How was that atmosphere?
I was one of 7 people at the Rose Bowl. And it was fun. You know, it was fun actually to see. You see a bunch of people who you meet online and you see them in person. That was pretty cool. I got to see the great Doug Greenwald, the voice of the Fresno Grizzlies. He was in your neighborhood calling Lake Elsinore, the Fresno Lake Elsinore Cal League Championship. So he stopped by. Got to meet the South Alabama people. They're all very nice people. And I got to see a good football game at the Rose Bowl. That was fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, UCLA 3-0, USC 3-0. It's going to be a clash to the Titans, the Pac-12, whatever state it's in now. It will be nice to see it finish off strong here in the next couple of years. But forget about that. Let's talk about this week. We have 2 games on Friday and a game on Saturday. Let's start off with North versus Grand Terrace. That is the inner city or inner district big rivalry. What do you think's going on with JW North starting off kind of slow, but they played a pretty gauntlet of a schedule, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been very good the last couple of years. It's a little bit of a hiccup, and you and I know Coach Vaipulu very, very well, and he's kind of pulling what's left of his hair out, trying to figure this thing out. This is good. I'm glad these teams play. They should play every year. This should be kind of one of those neighborhood games you play every year, and North is going to get it turned. They have too much talent to not get it turned around. I think the issue has been, like you said, a little bit of consistency and a little bit of who they've played. They played some pretty good teams. They played Roosevelt, who's really good. We know how good Beaumont is, our buddy Jeff Steinberg over there. So this is a game, kind of one of those get healthy games. Hey, guys, let's focus. Let's keep it simple. Let's block. Let's tackle. Let's run the ball. Let's catch the ball. And let's keep it close. And then if you're within, 3, 4, 1, 2, if you're within a few points in the fourth quarter, you never know how the ball's going to bounce. Stay focused, stay disciplined, stay organized, and let's get this thing done. Let's get that dub on the board.
Well, J.R. Ibarra and Nick Rice will be on the call. Our good friend Kevin Argamosa is going to take on Canyon Springs out of Moreno Valley. This game, I think, is going to be a lot better than people think.
I mentioned it for North. This is kind of a get healthy game for both these teams, right? Because Canyon Springs coming off a bit of a pasting. Vista del Lago is just good, right? Vista del Lago is a very good football team, and they kind of took it to Canyon Springs. Canyon Springs was feeling pretty good about themselves, and they got knocked down a notch. And I think they're kind of looking at Arlington's like, all right, we need to take some of our frustrations out from last week on this team. And Arlington's kind of thinking the same thing about Canyon Springs. Yeah, they're 3-2. They've got some wins, but now we're kind of playing better. We got a couple of wins stacked back to back. They beat a Corona team that plays, out of the old Big 8, which is now the Big West team. And they got a tough, gritty, gutty 7-0 win over A.B. Miller. So I think Canyon Springs and Arlington, they want to let it fly a little bit on Friday. So I think we'll, at the very least, Jeff, have an entertaining game because both teams are going to be flying pretty loose at Arlington High School on Friday night.
Yeah, and talking about the River Valley League, we've seen most of the teams. We have yet to see Hillcrest in person, but we have seen Norte Vista. We have seen Ramona. Ramona took care of Poly last week pretty handily.
It's going to be tough. That's a tough league. Remember for many years, Arlington was in the Inland Valley. So now Arlington's sliding into the River Valley League. First of all, as another Riverside team. And then it just kind of the plot thickens, right? As Pep likes to say, it gets juicy when you have all these local teams in the mix. And La Sierra got a win last week, so don't count them out yet. So I think we're going to have a lot of movement in that league once league play starts. You remember, I think it was 2017 when they had a 5-way tie for first place.
That's right. And remember, like you mentioned, La Sierra now 2 wins on the season. They beat Bolsa Grande, I believe, 39-0. Very, very much improved La Sierra team. But the dark horse nobody seems to know much about is Patriot. Patriot kind of plays in an area that we don't get to get out much and watch, but they could be the dark horse in the River Valley League.
Well, they got tripped up recently, but everybody I talked to said they were going to be good, and we know Chris Fowler a little bit. We know he does a good job over there, and they're trying to get back to the playoffs for the first time in a couple years. So Patriot, they came in. I think a lot of people thought they were going to be very good. People thought that maybe Nordvista is down. From what I watched a little bit of on Friday, I don't think so. I think Ken Batdorf, he always figures out a way. He always finds alignment. He always finds a running back. We know what Coach Mush is doing up there at Ramona High School. And Travis Carter and Hillcrest, they're not done. We haven't seen them yet, obviously, but that's a team. They have a couple of guys back from last year. The lines on both sides. I always look at the lines, the defensive and offensive lines, and if you have a couple of returners on both sides, I think you get a puncher's chance. Like when Hasim Rahman knocked out Lennox Lewis.
Well, I'll tell you what, all of the Riverside teams seem to be doing well. Notre Dame took care of Citrus Hill last week.
Yeah, how about that?
So Riverside teams are really starting to come to fruition. CSDR, like we're going to have Coach on the show a little bit later, and I'll tell you what, I think he's licking his chops at another opportunity to win a CIF championship.
I mean, you guys said it, and it's what I had heard, and unfortunately I haven't been able to see them yet. That they were so good last year, they made that historic run, got a lot of publicity, a lot of press last year. They may be better this year, huh?
They're supposed to be a lot better. Florida School for the Deaf and Blind is coming out on Saturday. We're going to have the game at 4 p.m. on Riverside TV. That'll be a good one. Last time we called a game, they had over 3,000 people show up to watch the Cubs play. It's going to be a lot of fun. The 8-man football is a lot like Arena League football. A lot of high scores, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Let's also shout out Tom Kraft and RCC. They went down to Orange County and thumped Saddleback. I think it was 35-3 or 34-3, something like that.
But you remember, Tom Kraft said RCC shouldn't have football, but yet they're going for another possible national championship at RCC.
I don't think he was being literal. I think he was being a little hyperbolic with that. But yeah, love Coach Kraft, and we get to see the Tigers, I think, in a couple of weeks, Jeff.
We do. They're going to play College of the Canyons. It'll be the following next Saturday. It'll be a 2 p.m. start at Ramona High School. Well, Gazal, as always, looking forward to seeing you Friday night as you and I have the call as Arlington battles Canyon Springs. You and I will be there. Thank you again for joining us on the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV. We'll be right back with the head coach of the Arlington Lions, Kevin Argumosa, right after this on the Coach's Perspective on Riverside TV. And we are back here for the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV as we're now joined by the head coach of the Lions of Arlington, the great champion, Kevin Argumosa. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. I've covered so many high school football games. We opened this season with you, and we get to see you this week. You're playing a very, very, very tough Canyon Springs team. But let's talk about the season so far. You guys are 2-2. Are you happy with where you guys are right now?
Yes, we're happy. I mean, we're young in spots that we knew we were going to be young in coming into this year, and losing our great tailback we had last year made our offense look a lot better than what it was, I guess you could say, with a lot of his great athleticism. But the kids we've had plugging in, they've been grinding for us, so it's been good. And you take your lumpings when you have young kids at certain positions. It's tough, but we're happy where we're at, and we just got to keep building week by week.
Well, Coach, you guys could be very easily be 3-2, or I should say 3-1. You played Lakeside, very tough opening game of the year. You lost to Poly, but you guys have really seemed to pick it up. Defensively, you're doing a great job. You held A.B. Miller scoreless. You guys got the win 7-0 last week. Is your defense feel like it's kicking in more right now than your offense, or vice versa?
I think our defense is kicking in a lot faster than we were last year. With the whole situation we had last year, it was just kind of like, hey, we're just going to run a basic defense as possible and just go. We're able to make adjustments now, and the kids being around us for the year has really helped out. And then it's just catching up the young guys to the varsity speed. I think is really been on both sides of the ball. And for most football, it's usually defense gets picked up faster than offense. So Our defense is looking a lot better than offense, but we're getting better, so it's been great.
Well, you guys are playing a Canyon Springs team. They took a little bit of a lump last week, but playing a very good Vista Del Lago team. But I've seen film. I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of people say Canyon Springs is very athletic, deceptively athletic. What do you see from the Cougars?
Oh, they're athletic. Their receivers, they have some really fast, quick receivers. Number 25, he's a laser, man. He gets on a vertical run and he's gone. I think for them against Vista Del Lago, the couple bad plays here and there and some turnovers is why the score was what it was. But if you really watch film, it doesn't indicate how the game truly went, and so we got to be able to contain their speed and make adjustments on that offense. It's pretty fast, and they can score quickly if we don't adjust to them.
Now, Coach, you've put up big numbers at times this season, and then other times you've slowed the game down. So there are obviously opportunities for you to win ball games. What have you seen on the positive side offensively for the Lions so far this year for you?
Up front, our line is a lot bigger, faster, stronger. We're able to do our run game blocking and our pass game blocking really well. And, it's just being able to give the quarterback time to do what he needs to do if we're setting up for a pass. And because we're stronger, like we're able to be more aggressive up front and get better drive blocks off the ball offensively than where we were at last year.
That's because, hey, you guys were CIF champs last year, went to the state finals. Can we see the same thing? Hopefully, everybody, we always want the hope. But let's talk a little bit before we go into River Valley League play. Are you where you want to be at this time of the season going into such a gauntlet of the River Valley League?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, again, just with the young players we had in positions, with having where we're at right now and having a bye week and getting us ready for this week, we're really excited as a staff to be able to fix things with the young guys and get everybody situated and put us in the right path for our league opener. Starting off with Patriot, it's going to be a battle. I mean, the River Valley is going to be a battle this year, so it's going to be a tough one.
Well, we've had an opportunity to cover all the other River Valley League teams. We have yet to see Patriot. I think that's the wild card. Talking to the other coaches, that's the one team nobody's too sure about because they've been up and down so much. What do you think of the Patriot this year?
We actually threw against them this summer at Jurupa Valley. Coach Fowler does a good job there. They have athletes. They have football players that kids that want to hit you and play football. So, it's just I think it's gonna be a battle again, like it was last year. So, just see how the cookie crumbles on this one. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Coach, it's always a pleasure to have you on the Coach's Perspective here. We love following the CIF champion Lions of Arlington, and we will be on the call. Gonzalez-on and I will be on the call. You guys won the Flex Game of the Week. You got more votes than anybody in the city. So we're looking forward to calling the big game on Friday night. Coach, thank you again for joining us, and good luck as you take on the Cougars of Canyon Springs. He's Kevin Argamosa. I'm Jeff Gorham. We'll be right back here on the Coach's Perspective on Riverside TV. And welcome back to the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV as we are joined by a great story that everybody talked about nationwide, not only in the city of Riverside, but around the world. People were talking about this program, and we're talking about the great California School for the Deaf, Riverside, as we're now joined by the head coach, Keith Adams. How you doing today, Coach?
Oh, I'm doing good, doing well. Right now we are at 4-0, so things are looking good.
Well, Coach, we had a chance to follow you all of last season. In fact, we got to call your championship game. You guys came up a little bit short, but everybody's coming back from last year's team, what it sounds like. And like you said, 4-0, a great start to this season. You play Florida this week. We're going to have the game live at 4 p.m. on Saturday. Hey, how excited are you about this year's season with everybody coming back?
Oh, I'm very, very excited. Our players, they feel like this is unfinished business for them, and their goal is to just progress as much as they can. They've done a lot of weightlifting this summer, and they've worked really, really hard, and hopefully we can win that championship this year.
Well, Coach, we hear a lot about the other schools in the city of Riverside, but I'll tell you what, I've always been a big fan of the CSDR growing up in Riverside. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let the city of Riverside know who Coach Adams is.
Well, I come from a deaf family. I've been a teacher here at CSDR for almost 25 years now. I have been a football coach. This is now going into my 5th year. I was raised in California. I attended college at Cal Poly, and I went to Gallaudet University, and then came back here to work here in Riverside, and have been here ever since.
Now, Coach, is football in your blood? Did you grow up playing the game, or is this just something you picked up and you've been a fan and just kind of evolved into coaching?
Well, the first time I put on pads was I was 10. So I've been playing football since I was 10 years of age. I have played my entire life. My family, my father, my brother, we all played football. We played in college. So definitely football is very strong in our family.
Now, Coach, last year was such a whirlwind and such great success. How did you guys as a team, as a staff, as a school handle all the attention and the adulation? Was it a great thing to put the spotlight on CSDR?
Well, kind of mixed feelings about that. Sometimes it can be very stressful. Sometimes it's exhausting. But we now have decided to only do interviews on Mondays. That way we have better control. That way it doesn't really distract from the players' performance in practice. So we have a scheduled time now. That way our players can focus on the game. And we have a better coordinated schedule than we have had last year.
Well, you've had some great guest speakers. I saw you had Kurt Warner show up at a game earlier this year. And everybody seemed to jump on the CSDR bandwagon. But I'll tell you what, we couldn't have been more proud for you guys in the city of Riverside. And like you said, that unfinished business, how important is it for you guys to redeem yourself after last season?
I know last year they took the loss really hard, and it was really tough for the boys. Some games you win, some games you lose, and they know that. But it's a passion of theirs. So in the off season, they did a lot more weight training and have worked really hard, and they've done good so far. So I'm hoping to end the season on a much more positive note.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you what, I brought my children last year to your championship game, and my 6-year-old went home crying. He was hoping so bad for a championship for you guys, and I think he wanted it more than everybody. But how much fun is it to see the community rally around you guys as they did last year?
Oh, it was shocking. We had over 3,000 fans at that championship game, which is unheard of. Honestly, it just brings chills. We had so much support from the hearing community and the local community here in Riverside. After the game, they came up to us and told us it was a loss, yes, but it was a good job, and keep up the great work for next year. So it's nice to see a whole lot of local faces and a lot of old faces at our games.
Well, Coach, we just talked about all the success you guys had last year and how you're starting this year. Let's talk about some of the players. I want to know some of the guys that we can talk about in the community come Saturday afternoon. Tell us some of your dudes that are going to show the impact when you guys play Florida.
Well, we have Trevin Adams. He is our quarterback and our linebacker. He has passed for 800 yards, rushed for 500 yards. So he is a huge key player on our defense and definitely one of our tacklers. Felix Gonzalez is another strong leading wide receiver, defender. Jory Valencia is also a lead interceptor. I believe he had 4 just this past game. So we've got, I believe, 6 this season so far for interceptions. Offensive, defensive line, we've got a lot of great guys. We have Chris, who's another strong We have David Figueroa, and most important person is Cody Metzner. He's a very, very strong player. He's definitely one of our key defenders on our line. He's a strong kid. So he will definitely mess up the offensive team, and he's been a great key player for us.
You mentioned the Valencia family. I've known them forever. They are a staple at CSDR. Great basketball players, to say the least. But yeah, how many more of them are there? I mean, there seem to be every 4 years we have a new Valencia brother.
There's a lot of cousins in that line. Let me tell you, it's a huge Valencia family. There's 7 or 8 cousins on campus coming down the pipe.
Well, Coach, let's shift our attention a little bit to California, or I should say Florida School for the Deaf. Are they a formidable opponent, and what do you see coming from them on Saturday afternoon?
I mean, we never take any game lightly against any opponent. Florida has always been a great program for many years now. Florida has a great coach. He and I have been good friends since Gallaudet football days when we were in college. So it's a great opportunity to play against him. So he's a good friend of mine. So I'm hoping it's going to be a great match and everyone comes out healthy and with a positive outcome.
And you mentioned Gallaudet University. A lot of players, deaf athletes, do go to Gallaudet University. Are they recruiting any of your players at CSDR?
They are. Last spring, we had the Gallaudet head coach come out here and try to recruit quite a few of our players that are on our team. So they'll be attending Gallaudet next year.
That's great to hear. Well, Coach, we are so excited to cover CSDR this year. We're going to have a couple games on the schedule, but we're looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, as I will be calling the game with Pep Fernandez. We will be there and can't wait to see you guys take care of business on Saturday. Thank you for your time, your energy, and everything you do for the city of Riverside, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for interviewing me.
Well, he is the great coach, Keith Adams, as we're going to watch them play on Saturday afternoon at CSDRs. They're going to take on Florida School for the Deaf. It will be on Riverside TV, live and amplified, Saturday afternoon. Thanks, Coach. We will see you on Saturday. We'll be right back with more on the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV. And we are back here on the Coach's Perspective for my favorite part of the show. Every single week I get to be graced by my best friend in the entire world, the great Pep Fernandez. How are you, Pep?
It is always an honor and a pleasure to talk with Mr. Riverside Football, the Big GZ, Jeff Gorham. And dude, it was so much fun. It was an honor to call that Norte Vista game with you last Friday, man.
It was like old times. We showed up with our highlighters and our pieces of paper, and we called a very good game. Coach Batdorf got his 200th win plaque. We got to see the Batdorf family and everybody. It was just a great game for Norte Vista, to say the least, as they took care of business over Linfield Christian.
Yeah, I said this before, and I'll probably have to say it again and maybe a couple more times throughout the season. But for that Norte Vista team that we saw in week 0 against Hesperia looks nothing like the Norte Vista team that we're seeing now. Like, the Braves are really coming on strong, and they'll have to play their best football going forward because River Valley League is going to be tough. You know, Ramona, listen, I think most people would not argue against me the fact that they're probably the team to beat, right? Like, Ramona is the favorite, but Norte Vista is coming on strong, Jeff, and I was really impressed by that running back by committee they have.
6 different players scored touchdowns in that game. That was the most impressive thing I saw, and just how they just rebuild every single year. You think they're not going to be good, and then boom, Ken Batdorf does his thing. They run that smash mouth football, and I'll tell you what, they are going to be pretty tough to beat come River Valley League.
Yeah, and they got one more tune-up, right? They're coming this Friday. They're going to play on the road at Redlands. I know the Terriers are coming off a tough loss against Palm Springs, so that's a very winnable game for Norte Vista. So if you could go 4-1 in non-league play before you get to River Valley League action, I think you'd feel pretty good about yourself at Norte Vista. And again, kind of building up to that showdown with Ramona, which will probably decide the RVL title.
Hey, I'll tell you what, it's going to be great in the River Valley League. But let's talk a little bit more about what's going on Saturday, as the city of Riverside is going to ingratiate themselves again to CSDR, California School for the Deaf. Riverside is playing Florida School for the Deaf and Blind on Saturday, 4 p.m. You and I are going to be there to cover this game. How exciting is it since the last time we saw them when they were in the state championship or the CIF championship?
Oh, it's awesome, Jeff. Like, we love the Cubs. And what was really cool was last year, they really got exposure on the national stage. I know ESPN, a lot of other big national outlets were covering California School for the Deaf Riverside. So it was a great way to promote the city of Riverside. It was a great way to promote the program. It was a great way to promote 8-man football. Remember, CSDR plays 8-man football. So it was awesome on so many levels. And here's the best part. When you look at just what's happening on the gridiron, this Cubs team is actually better than last year's team. This team it was heavy on the juniors last year. All these guys are seniors. I feel like it's CIF championship or bust for CSDR this year. And, I don't know much about this Florida team. I looked them up a little bit, but I think the Cubs will be that heavy favorite going into this game.
Well, we had a chance to talk to Keith Adams, and he said the one thing that really stood out from last year's team is unfinished business, and they want to take care of everybody in that fashion. They put up 50-plus points in all 4 of their games. They're 4-0 right now. And I'll tell you what, they sound focused. They lifted hard in the offseason. Guys are going to go play at Gallaudet University next year. This is a stacked 8-man team. And if you've never watched 8-man football, it's a lot like arena football. You score in bunches, and it is entertaining as heck. So everybody should watch this on Saturday.
Yeah, and you know what? You had Coach Adams on. I got to give a shout out to his son, Trevin Adams, who is an absolute beast. He's the quarterback. So naturally, he leads the team in passing yards. He leads the team in rushing yards. He leads the team in tackles. He leads the team in sacks. Like 8-man football's Iron Man football, right, Jeff? You play on both sides of the football, offense and defense. And this Trevin Adams, man, he is an absolute beast. He is a senior. He's the coach's son. He's all those things. He's a lot of fun, and I expect him to have a huge game against this Florida team on Saturday.
And remember the Valencia brothers that played basketball and football? There's another one. He had 4 interceptions in the game last week. And I'll tell you, I asked the Coach Adams, I said, how many Valencias are there? He said there's cousins, there's brothers. They're all over, and they're going to continue to play for CSDR.
Yeah, they're all great athletes, right? I think Noah was the basketball star. Jory is the football star with all those interceptions for CSDR. So yeah, they're all talented, they're all athletic, and good thing there's more coming through the program.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great one. You and I will be on the call on Saturday along with J.R. Ibarra. But let's talk about Friday night. You're going to be back on your late show. You're always there 11 p.m. And then on Wednesdays, the Inland Sports Show every Wednesday, 6 p.m., correct?
That is correct. And we'll be breaking down a bunch of these games, including the ones involving the Riverside schools. I know you have Arlington Canyon Springs. That was the flex game, right, that the fans voted for. And I think that's going to be a very competitive game between the Lions and the Cougars.
We also have the North Huskies versus Grand Terrace. That's another pretty darn good game. North struggling a bit, but that's always kind of the crosstown showdown to say.
Yeah, Chris Mailo, the head coach at Grand Terrace, he used to be the head coach at Colton. He's got those Titans playing really good football. And I'll tell you what, though, 3rd in Chicago, JW North is a lot better than what their record indicates. So I think that might actually be a very close game as the Huskies try to get a win against I call it a proximity rival, right? And they're only like 2 miles apart, JW North and Grand Terrace. So I think that'll be a lot of fun on Friday night between those 2 schools.
Oh, it's going to be great. We have 3 games this week. We have 4 games next week as we're going to go Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's going to be a smorgasbord of football. Pep Fernandez, always great to see you. You're my best pal. I love you dearly. And we will see you Saturday at CSDR live and amplified. He's Pep Fernandez. I'm Jeff Gorham. That'll do it for this edition of The Coach's Perspective. We'll see you this week and next Monday here on The Coach's Perspective on Riverside TV.